Welcome. I'm Jason Yun. Welcome, Improvement Warriors. Welcome to the Calories and Toxins presentation. And there's nobody on, but I'm still going to do the webinar because I need to put this up. I think I might have done something wrong, and that's why nobody is on, because I know I've had several people tell me they were going to be on, but no matter. I'm still going to deliver the best possible information that I can. We're going to be talking about calories and toxins, and I can tell you that tonight possibly could change your life, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to let you discover this over the next, this is 2 parts, over the next 40 minutes, and we'll go from there. So we'll see. Because I know when I first attended my first toxin detox calorie type event, it was a live event, but ever since then, so that was in 2013, ever since then I have been talking or emphasizing nutrition over fitness. And the reason being is, I don't know if you've heard the quote before, you cannot outrun, or you cannot out-exercise a bad diet. Believe me, I have tried, and some of my clients have tried and failed miserably. And that's why we put the emphasis on nutrition. Obviously, fitness is important. It's all encompassing in regards to total health, and that is what we want, total health. So we're going to talk about exercise. We're going to talk about calories. We're going to talk about toxins, all that stuff. And obviously, there's not going to be a live Q&A, but I will post the webinar here very, very soon. So if you do have questions, just post it on wherever I post that webinar, Facebook, YouTube, my blog, all that stuff. This is the basics, calories, going back. So why eat less, move more doesn't work, and how toxins keep you fat and sick. All right, so I'm going to go full screen here on the PowerPoint. I'm hoping you guys can see it, and I'm hoping you guys can hear me. Otherwise, this is just a practice session if my audio is not working. All right, so here we are. Let me get rid of this. Okay. All right, here we are. Okay, so calories and toxins, why eat less, move more doesn't work, and how toxins keep you fat and sick. So first off, we have some interesting memes. I like to call them memes. I don't care if they're pronounced differently. So a lot of people are interested in counting calories. They think calories is the end-all, be-all of nutrition, when in reality, it is not. And I hope to prove that to you here tonight. But starting off, what is a calorie? That is, most people don't even know what it is or what the definition of a calorie is. It's nothing to brag about, but whoops, let's go back here. 1. Okay, so we consume basically kilocalories. So the definition is the heat required to raise 1 kilogram of water 1 degree Celsius. Mind blown? Not really. Doesn't really change too much, and actually I get more confused the more I read about this. But so now you know what a calorie is, so you can share it at cocktail parties or whatever. But moving on, some important facts. We've got 900% increase in the diabetes rate over the past 50 years. And by 2030, it's expected to almost double. So it's an epidemic now. We're in the obesity epidemic. Pretty soon, the obesity epidemic is going to be switching over to diabetes. And diabetes comes with a whole host of health issues that are some big trouble. And I'll get into those here pretty soon. But there was 2 hypotheses back in 1860, and so that's 1860, not 1960. Hi, Maura.
Hi, how are you?
I am good. So I started already. Nobody was on. I thought I messed up something. So.
No, that's fine. I'm sorry I'm a little late.
Oh, that's okay. No
problem.
problem.
I've been dying to hear this.
Cool. Yes, absolutely. And I'll post the replay here pretty soon. So this is just 40 minutes going into this one.
Okay, but perfect.
I haven't really gone over anything, so you haven't missed anything. But
okay.
The hypothesis back, and if you have any questions, just shout out.
Okay.
So the hypothesis is back in the 1860s, and that's 1860, not 1960, is the theory of obesity was simply an overabundance of calories being consumed.
Right.
And number two was all obese persons are caused by a perverted appetite. And I wholeheartedly disagree with that. And I'm sure most people that are overweight or have been overweight would disagree with that. And it's my hope with this webinar is to show you why that is incorrect. Right, so is a calorie a calorie? So this is one of the big things that a lot of nutritionists and people have pointed out, that a calorie is not a calorie. So obviously a calorie from a Snicker bar is not the same from a calorie from a broccoli. All right, so if all calories were the same, we have the law of thermodynamics. And the law of thermodynamics states that if calories out exceeds calories in, then weight is going to decrease. You also have, if calories in exceeds calories out, then the weight will go up. And then also, if calories in equals calories out, then the weight should remain the same. So if this was absolutely true, then everybody who's ever been on a diet would have the perfect diet, or the perfect body, the perfect health, and they would still be on that diet. And the fact is that that is not true, since we have 75% people overweight or obese. So what's going on? Okay, so attempt to balance calories. The CDC, Centers for Disease Control, and pretty much all of the high governing government agencies, so the USDA, the FDA, the American Heart Association, Diabetes Association, Cancer Association, all of the big associations, they still want you to balance calories in versus calories out. Or they want you to follow the move more, eat less type of thing. So how hard is it to do that? The average adult consumes 2,700 calories a day, which is approximately 1 million calories per year. And that's approximately 10 to 12 tons of food per decade, 20 to 24,000 pounds of food per decade. So how closely do you have to balance the calories just to avoid gaining 2 pounds? If you were to store just 21 calories per day in your fat tissue, you would gain 2 pounds per year. Just 21 calories. And depending on the type of food you're eating, that's anywhere between 1 to 5 bites of food. Okay, so it's kind of hard to do. So if you burn off 149 calories, but the 150th calorie went to fat storage, then you are basically preordained to get fat or put on weight. So here's an equation taking that into consideration. So round it down, 20 calories a day into fat storage times 365 times 10 in a decade, 10 years, and you divide that by 3,500. So 3,500 is the amount of calories in 1 pound of fat. That would equal a 0.8% accuracy in balancing calories in versus calories out as stored fat. So that would equal 21% or 21 pounds of fat per decade.
Oh my gosh.
Okay? Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So with that, you would have to, based on that, we have a 99.2% chance of balancing calories wrong over the course of a decade. And over the course of a day, it's, I mean, you're going to, with that higher percentage, you're going to miss the days, day in, day out, pretty much. Okay. So very, very hard. So 99.2% chance of failing with calories in versus calories out. And based on this, researcher Eugene Dubois, metabolism researcher, he posed the question isn't why do some people get fat and others don't? The question is, why doesn't everybody get fat? Okay? Because 99.2% chance of getting it wrong, then there has to be another way that we are regulating calories, regulating fat, regulating metabolism, and regulating our energy. Okay, so how do we do that? All right, so one thing that you do need to take into account is when and where do you get fat? Okay, because during certain times of our life that we're taking in more calories than we're burning off. So a good example is puberty and babies. So both of those stages, there is some serious growth going on. Girls and boys, they will enter puberty roughly at the same body fat. And then when they exit it, girls have 50% more body fat and boys have more muscle. And so that's basically the start of turning a girl into a woman and a boy into a man. Okay. And babies obviously are taking in more calories than they're burning off. They don't really do anything. They just lie there and eat and sleep and poop and pee. Okay. And I'm not sure if you've heard the quote before, teenagers are eating me out of house and home. Mm-hmm. I know I was one of those teenagers. I pretty much ate everything in the house all the time, because once you're out of puberty, you're still growing. All right. So we're using the calories for other things rather than just making the scale go up, making the scale stay the same, or making the scale go down. Okay. So what you want to think about is when you started to put on body fat, where did it go? Because we don't get fat foreheads. All right. We don't get fat in our scalps. Okay. We get fat in our chins. We get fat in our bellies, hips, butt, thighs. Okay. And also think about what your lifestyle was like. Okay. How were you living? So those are 3 important questions to ask, because then once you figure those questions out, then we can pretty much reverse engineer things to get you back to health, so to speak. Okay. So based on that, obesity is basically a disorder of excess fat distribution. So that's one of the definitions of it. There's another definition that will come up later in the presentation. So other questions that need to be asked is, why is this person so fat? Or why is this person so fat in these particular places? Because there is something called lipophilia, which is fat tissue that wants to accumulate fat. Like I said, we don't get fat in our foreheads, we get fat in our chins, right? Certain fat tissue is working independently like a tumor. And tumor needs glucose to grow and spread. So fat calories they're going to take the necessary calories it needs to grow based on the state of the health of the body. Okay, so if you're in a state of declined health, the body is going to want more body fat, because body fat is going to help that person or help you survive. Okay, because fat is the last thing to go when you're in, so it's kind of like survival mode. So fat is the last thing to go when you're in survival mode.
So Jason?
Yes.
So that's if you don't eat enough calories, then your body will hold on to that fat too, correct? Is that
Yes.
kind of in the same
Correct.
premise?
Yes, okay. That is correct. Yep, I'm getting into the next slide here a little bit more in detail. So when you're in survival mode, in that state, you don't accumulate fat because you eat too much. You get fat because you eat anything at all, really. Okay. So survival mode. These are some of the biggest things. These are the biggest things that I have taken over my career to put people in survival mode and add more body fat. And basically, when you are in survival mode, your body and your mind is basically thinking that you're being chased by a tiger all day long. Okay, so that throws everything out of whack, hormonal and all that stuff. First off, you have dieting. Okay, so if we are dieting, and that's, you're just consuming too little calories. So we never want to go on a diet. We want to find a nutritional system, program, lifestyle that we can continue on for the rest of our life. And we can make, I mean, obviously we can make certain adjustments as we go, but we want something that's going to be able to sustain us for the rest of our life. And eating too little calories is not going to sustain us, which I'll get into a little bit more. But I consider, and obviously it's going to depend person to person. So I consider too little calories for women under 1,500 calories, and for a man under 1,900 calories. And obviously it's going to depend on certain aspects, hormones, what they're going through. So those are adults, not kids or puberty or anything like that. But it'll depend.
So women under how many?
1,500. And men under 1,900. That's
too little.
Too little, yes. I mean, you can do it for a little bit of time. Obviously, it depends on what you're going through, but if you do that for an extended period of time, then the body's going to start going more into survival mode.
Okay, I'm glad I tuned in because I think that might be my issue.
Okay, cool. And then the second one on here is emotions are out of control. And basically, if your emotions are out of control, your life is out of control. Again, you think that tiger is chasing you all day long. Emotions get out of control. Hormones get out of control. Hormones basically control you. So how you feel, how you sleep, how you eat, all that stuff. And all of these are interrelated. Okay, some more than others, but every single one of them ties into each other. Stress is a big one, probably second biggest one on here, because if you're stressed, I mean, you can have the perfect nutrition plan. You can have a personal chef making all your meals perfectly. You can have the perfect workout program. You can be 10% body fat and you can die tomorrow of a heart attack or stroke because of stress. And I mean, it's the silent killer. Basically, it's just causing multiple points of inflammation throughout your body. Then probably the biggest one is sleep. Okay, so sleep is the most important. That's when we are recovering. So we want to, if we're not getting good sleep, it's going to put us in survival mode really, really quickly. So I've read research studies and everything, but basically it says if you are sleep deprived 2 nights in a row, it's basically the same as having a blood alcohol level above the legal limit, or it's equivalent to. Obviously, you're not drunk, but it's the equivalent of having that. So sleep, we want to be able to get into a deep REM sleep, resting eye movement. If we don't get into deep REM, we don't recover. So we can sleep 8 hours, 10 hours, 14 hours a day, but it won't matter because we won't recover. So you would still feel tired throughout the day, drowsy after the day. You would need stimulants to keep you going. And sleep would affect a whole bunch of other things. So stress, emotional eating, all that stuff. Can you see me, Maura?
No, I just see your slides.
Oh, you just see my slides. Okay. Well, in the beginning, you did see me because I wasn't on full screen, but I'm wearing, those glasses I'm wearing are blue blocker glasses. So they basically block the blue light from coming in, because blue light raises our cortisol levels and lowers our melatonin levels. So those are the 2 hormones that either prevent us from getting good sleep or help us to get good sleep.
Right.
And obviously I had the orange amber lights on. That also takes the blue light out, but I will probably do a talk on sleep here coming up pretty soon.
You notice the difference with those?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
very
have
much so.
trouble sleeping, so I guess I'm pretty lucky.
What's that?
I don't have any trouble sleeping. I'm pretty lucky.
Okay. Well, I would definitely try it and see how it goes. Because I mean, yeah.
That's it.
Number 4 or number 5 on here is exercise. I'll get into exercise more in part 2, but exercise is a stress to the body. It's a good stress, but it does cause inflammation, and so our bodies are not made when we exercise. They're not made in the gym. They're made when we go home. We get the good nutrition, enough calories, enough nutrients. We manage our stress, and we get the proper sleep. Okay, that's when the body recovers from the exercise. If we just exercise, we're not eating enough, we're too stressed, then that's just going to keep putting us more and more into survival mode. So we need to actually recover from the workout. Then you got high blood sugar, insulin levels, and I'll talk about that here soon, but high blood sugar levels are basically toxic to the body, because otherwise we wouldn't have the insulin coming in to push back down to normal homeostasis. Okay. And then, of course, you have the chronic diseases, diabetes, heart disease, cancer, stroke, even if you have acute things, so like the flu or the fever or just a cough, that's going to cause the body to go into survival mode. So it's, and you could put any kind of disease in there, arthritis, celiac disease, all that stuff. So it's going to be harder to get out of survival mode if you do have a chronic disease. Okay, so regulating fat. All right, so we have billions of fat cells, and basically if they get fat, you get fat. So what happens is triglycerides, they come into the body from the food we eat. Carbs are going to raise triglycerides a little more. Fat, as long as it's a good fat, is going to lower the triglycerides, and protein is pretty much null on triglycerides unless you eat too much protein, because protein can be transformed into glucose, which is carbohydrate, through a process known as gluconeogenesis. But most people don't overconsume protein, or the ones that I work with don't overconsume protein because I work with them on that. So what happens is food comes in the body, they're broken down into fatty acids to deliver it to the right places, and once they arrive at the fat cells, they enter the fat cell, turn into a triglyceride. Now they're too big to get out. And once that fat cell reaches the max capacity, they'll duplicate another fat cell. Okay, so that's one thing. If you are overweight or obese, or you have been in the past, it's very important to get on a lifestyle nutrition program ASAP, because even if you do lose the weight and you fall off the wagon, you're more prone to put that weight back on because now you have more fat cells. So we can shrink the fat cells, but we can't get rid of them once we have them.
That's interesting.
Okay. All right. So regulating fat 2. So we have a hormone called hormone-sensitive lipase. Basically, what this does is it helps to shrink the triglyceride from the fat cell, so we get it back out of the fat cell and shrink that fat cell, and then we can actually burn the fat off. And then we also have another hormone called insulin. Insulin is the primary regulator of fat metabolism. Again, high blood sugar is toxic and it's inflammatory. Inflammation opens you up to pretty much everything, every single disease, chronic and acute. And basically how you live your life, which is known as epigenetics, will turn on certain genes and that will determine what diseases you get or don't get. Okay? And turning on hormone-sensitive lipase, it basically just requires a negative influence of insulin. Okay? So what happens is insulin basically pushes fat into the fat cell, and when the insulin drops and the hormone-sensitive lipase helps that process out, triglycerides turn into fatty acids, fat cell shrinks. Carbohydrate is the main driver of fat because carbohydrate drives blood sugar, and when blood sugar is elevated, your pancreas releases insulin to lower that blood sugar back down. So the main thing is controlling our insulin levels or controlling our carbohydrate levels, which will help with that. Okay, so based on that, the other definition is obesity is a hormonal dysregulatory disorder, and insulin is basically the king of the hormones causing obesity and overweightness. Obviously, there's other ones that play into effect. Everything works synergistically in the body, but insulin is the main one. Okay, so if you do become overweight or obese, your insulin signaling is bad. Okay, so basically it's just like a type 2 diabetic. So you become insulin resistant, and when you're insulin resistant, a easy way to remember, if you're insulin resistant, it just means you're carbohydrate intolerant. So you do need to lower the carbohydrates.
But can that be reversed?
Yes, you can. It depends how long and how severe it is, but it can be reversed. So type 2 diabetes, there's a bunch of people that have gotten rid of it.
But the insulin resistance, it goes away when the type 2 goes away.
Say that again.
Or once you're insulin resistant, are you always insulin resistant?
No, you are not. No,
okay.
you can reverse insulin resistance. Yeah, but once you get it and you reverse it, if you fall off the wagon, then it's a lot easier to get it back.
Okay.
But obviously, you have to follow a lifestyle program and not go through that.
Right.
Okay. All right. So just a quick example of how calories and nutrients behave differently in the body is if you take a 6'4" athlete, 10% body fat, versus an obese person, both eat the same diet, same nutrients, same calories. 3 different pathways occur when you're consuming a carbohydrate. So what's going to happen is the 3 pathways are, it goes to the liver to be used as immediate energy. Number 2 is it goes to your muscles to be stored in your muscles as muscle glycogen. And number 3 is it goes to the fat storage. Okay, so with the athlete, it's basically, first and foremost, it'll go to his immediate energy. Second, it'll go to his muscle glycogen, which he can then use for future workout or training or practice or game or hard activity, something he's using his muscles for. It'll go there, and very, very little will go to his body fat storage. Okay? With the obese person, especially if they're not working out, so that's just another reason why everybody needs to work out. It makes them more insulin sensitive. The obese person, it's going to go straight to their liver as immediate energy, and the majority of it after that is going to spill out to more body fat stores. Okay, so that's the 3 basic pathways. So liver, energy, muscle, glycogen, and then body fat.
Great.
Right. So based on what we've covered here, there's basically 2 different hypotheses out there. Number 1 is you believe in the calorie deficit, you need to eat less and move more, or you need to balance in versus out. Okay, in versus out. The second one is you believe that it's a hormonal disorder, and up until the 1960s, number 2 was the common belief. And in history textbooks from the 1960s and before, all the information that contained science of insulin, science of fat regulation, metabolism, it was basically removed starting in the 1960s and slowly replaced by the calories in, calories out model, or the move more, eat less model. And the reason being was, one of the big reasons being was because around the 1960s, this was also the same time that that fat and cholesterol were starting to be thrown under the bus. And also, it's also the same time that the sugar, the grains, the corn, all that stuff was starting to be subsidized by the United States. So we kept the farmers in rather than exporting their crops. So we paid them more to keep it in here, but those are the crops that are basically causing the insulin surges and the obesity epidemic and overweightness and all the bad stuff that I've been talking about here. Okay, and that's pretty much what I wanted to cover for part 1. Part 2, we're going to get more into how much you should actually eat. There'll be an equation that you can figure out what you need to eat based on your goals and everything. And I'll have a special group that I will create, basically do a special call with certain people that are interested in doing it to basically help you figure out how many calories you need to eat and macros and all that stuff.
I just downloaded an app. I can't remember what it's called, but it was saying I should have 1,800 calories a day. And I thought, oh my gosh, there's no way. I would always have like 1,200, and it was hard for me to get 100 calories in.
Mm-hmm.
And I could never understand. I was working out with a trainer, I'm running, and I could not lose anything. And the trainer kept saying, you need to eat, you need to eat. And I'm like, no, I can't eat. So that's what I really need help with.
Okay.
Then now with this isogenics, I lost 20 pounds. But I just feel like I'm not getting enough at this point with just the 2 shakes, you know, the little chalky snacks and, you know, and a meal.
For sure.
So I did just this week start adding in food to as my snacks.
Okay.
So I think today I got up to 1,400 calories, and I was nervous about that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So that's one of the big things that after I do part 2, and so we'll be scheduling people to come on a call, and I'll be going through all that, what you need to do and to get those up and all that stuff.
And then are the macros, is that individualized?
We, on the call, I can individualize it a little bit more, but it will. So
it's not like women do this and men do that. Okay.
No. If somebody has a general template like that, then I would go somewhere else for sure.
Okay. And then with men on isogenics, I have a guy that he's lost probably like 25 pounds. He would like to lose 20 more, but he's been at a little bit of stall, and he's doing his 2 shakes, his meal, his little snacks, so he must not be getting enough calories.
Yeah, I would say it just, I mean, everything depends, because there's other issues that could be going on, like stress and all the other things that I mentioned in the survival mode slide and everything.
Right.
So yeah, I'll be posting this as a replay on Facebook and also YouTube and also my blog. So feel free to send them that, and once I do set the call, send them the call.
Okay.
So yeah,
I'm looking forward to that next one. When do you think it will be?
Originally I scheduled it for Saturday, but I messed the dates up for my next seminar, because my seminar is actually on Saturday, so it'll probably be Sunday at 3, I believe.
Okay. And you will record that?
I will record that one, yes.
Okay, good. Because I do want to, I don't know if I can make that, but I definitely I'm very interested in that.
Cool.
Well, that was really great, Jason. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, Mar.
And how's your week going?
It is going good. Hold on, let me